you're here with me and not a established professional. I imagine they didn't want whatever you are getting out to the public, so they came to me. I do have my own professional pride, so I do intend to figure out as much as I can while I have you. So let me see. I'm pretty sure that sedative should keep you nice and knocked out for the majority of what I have planned today, the majority of what I have planned for you today. So let me think. You know, you almost have the appearance of an amphibian, where your skin seems very smooth, but I don't buy that personally. I do notice a type of gill structure running around what we would consider a neck, I suppose. So I'm leaning more towards scales, but I just have to prove it somehow. Let me think. Well, first things first, I should collect some skin sampling. But I can't do that with all this cloth they have you tied up in. They didn't even bother untying you before they brought you to me. I imagine they thought you would wake up during the transportation process, but so careless and inconsiderate, which means I have to do it. So let me get my scissors. Well, I guess you consider them more like shears, but I'll just have to cut these cloths and rags that they used to tie you up with. They weren't out looking for you after all. They were just a fishing boat doing their job when they came across you in the waters and just thought, well, if we brought this in, we could make a lot of money. But of course, now that you're here, I imagine they're more frightened over the consequences of getting involved with something they don't understand. Anyway, let me cut all that off of you. Gotta make sure I don't cut into your skin. Okay, that should do it. Put these down. Now, as I said, it's kind of hard to see if you're conscious or not. I mean, it's not uncommon for reptilians or anything like that to be asleep with their eyes open. And your eyes are very slightly open, half-lidded, I would say. I suppose I could try to see if you would react to a visual stimulus. Not like it would matter even if you did, because I have a very limited window of time to gather as much information as I can before alarms start sounding off. So even if you were to respond and you were conscious while I'm working on you, it wouldn't stop me from gathering what I need to, but it never hurts to see what exactly your capacity for the drugs I put in you. I need to see if the sedative I've given you has completely knocked you out or course, you're not the only subject that I have here. So you might hear some noises in the background. Not that you'd care. Not that you'd care passed out the way that you are. It's not like you can fight back or anything. But I mean, that's the sacrifices that must be made to keep things private, I suppose. So I'll just be screaming. As soon as you came in, I didn't want to take any chances of not being able to collect that. So that was one of the first things that I had to make sure that I collected. Now let me see about those eyes of yours. I'll just put a little bit of this. A little bit of this. Like I said, regardless if you're amphibian or reptilian or anything else for that matter, I'd rather you not try out, or I'd rather none of your organs or body parts get more damaged than they already are. More damage than they already are. Otherwise, I would make my job a lot harder. And I do like to have the best of the best for the subjects, specimens that I study. So let me get your eye. Okay. Oh, looks a lot better. Okay, now that I have your eyes nice and hydrated, I can keep going with your skin. So let's see. I checked to see if you reacted to any visual stimulus. I've collected some of your dead skin cells. Nice and sedated. Your eyes are okay. I'll need to condition your skin. Like I said, I don't completely believe that you have absolutely no scales or anything that I can peel off. I mean, with your gills and everything. And I know that they said you looked more amphibious than anything, but looking at you, you're giving more reptilian to me. You're giving more reptilian to me. So let me moisturize your skin real quick. I noticed that last solution kind of dried you out while I was collecting your samples, your surface level samples. So I think I need to fix that. I'll need to fix that. just wanted me to get as much information about what you're composed of. Right, just surface level knowledge. They don't have as much time to keep you here as much as I would like my other previous specimens, my test subjects. But, I mean, they did come to me, and I think I'm giving them a fairly generous rate for the amount of work that I'm doing. So, I don't think it'll hurt to take some things for myself, right? So, let me just... Now, it looks like you're trying to shed a little bit, so I will just be taking some of the scales that are shedding off of you. They won't even notice. They'll just assume that they got torn off in the scuffle of trying to drag you out of the water. So let me just... shedding season before they caught you, and that's why it's coming off so easily. I assumed I would have to do a lot more work. To collect the samples that I want, but it seems to be good. Okay, I got my scale samples, I got the skin samples. Let me see. Oh, you're moving. Or trying to. Twitching more like. Well, I can't have that. I can't have that. No, I don't want to give you too much. I'd rather you not die on the table, but I also don't have the proper weaponry to handle something of your mass, your size. I mean, you've got some talons on you, considering you're mainly aquatic, I would assume. But then alligators and crocodiles tend to be in the water, and they've got some teeth and some claws on them. So you can never be too careful. There we go. Okay, that seems to be doing the trick. Slowly, it stinks still. I'm very confused. Your body is processing that sedative very quickly, a lot faster than I thought you would, considering the amount I've given you. That's fine. I just need to figure out a couple more things, and then we'll be done. Well, first, since you're still slightly reacting, let me see if you can actually breathe in and out of those gills. Let me press on those. things from your breathing structure, but I guess not. I did have a creature that was like that. You know, they had took in water and stored it. I assumed that that's where they were breathing from, but I turned out to be wrong once I cut them open and figured out how they were built. Of course, I can't do the same with you, which is incredibly unfortunate, but we can't always have what we want. We can't always get what we want in life. But let me see, now they wanted me to at least cut a piece of you off. Well, I mean, I already took your scales, but I assumed they were talking about a limb, or maybe like like fingers or toes, or even one of the fin structures. And I think I'll cut off some of the fin structure, because I would rather not take away anything major from your body. And hopefully, if I'm guessing correctly, just taking off a little piece of that fin structure you have up there won't affect your mobility too much. And I'll make sure I take it off the tail end, so I guess towards the end of your spine. Let me get those shears again. Get these shears again. Of course, these aren't the kind of tools that I'd want to be using on you, but it's all I have right now. Like I said, they were kind of in a rush. So now that, and your eyes are closed now. Okay, well, now that you're completely knocked out. Okay, heartbeat is still going. You have a very interesting heartbeat. Yeah, it's almost constant, like a hummingbird. Kind of like a hum. I was quite surprised to notice that, but anyway, I'm just gonna cut off a piece of the structure you have on your back, and you won't even notice. Hopefully. Removed that. Let me just spread it off. Okay, move that to the side. Okay, you're bleeding a little bit more than I expected you to. I assumed it was kind of like it almost feels like cartilage, right? In someone's ears. I don't know why I'm bothering trying to explain this to you. It's not like you can hear me. But I do find that talking about my process out loud helps me keep track of what I'm doing. So similar to cartilage, like I thought. But you're also bleeding more than I expected you to, so let me just. Okay. This is kind of similar to liquid bandage. I just need to close it up and staunch it before it affects you too much, especially since I have you passed out. I don't know how losing too much blood will affect you. Let me just. Okay, that seems to have done the trick. Okay. I think I've gotten everything I needed from you. I still need to note some things down for me for my personal use. Of course, what I note down for my own personal use is going to be different from what I tell them. You can't give away all your secrets. Okay. Subject 4705. course, is not something that I can agree with. Of course, I get paid very handsomely for the work that I do. As I said, I'm a very confidential kind of person. They're paying me more for privacy than for anything else, but I do prefer my passion in discovery. You seem to have double lids. Not only double. Your pupils. I notice your pupils dilate vertically, which is very strange. I don't know what could have affected your kind to develop in that direction, but something to note. Okay, now that I got the notes for me, I have to make a digital copy for those fishermen so they can just take it and go, take you and go. Although I'm not quite sure where they would take you. I'm not quite sure where they intend on taking you. I imagine they'll put you up on the black market. Of course, if the government were to find out what they're up to, they would just come in and take you away and they'd be silenced. Of course, best case scenario is just signing a bunch of paperwork and, NDAs and everything. But worst case scenario, it's a more of a permanent kind of silence, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I've got all the information that I can from you. You're still knocked out properly. So I think I'll keep you strapped for now. Until they come back to take you away. Until they come back to collect you. I'd rather not take any risks of you waking up. I do think that last round of injections was enough to keep you down. But you can never be too careful. Now, before I leave to check on my other subjects, I think I'll hydrate you one more time before I leave. I can see your scales starting to disappear once again, and I'm almost certain that's a reflection of how hydrated and moisturized you are. And if I'm being completely honest, it doesn't seem like a good thing to let those scales completely disappear. At least for your own health. I'd rather keep you alive for future study. You never know, we might meet again in the future. Like I said, I'm very well known. So let me see what I have. I'll have to use this gel because I don't think that serum I used earlier was enough, especially if you're already starting to retract those scales. this channel. So, thank you again.